The door was locked from the inside. But something was already in the room with me. This is Dynamic Dark. I'm Aditya. Let's begin. Episode 93. Today's first story is Haunted Hotel Elevator. The hotel stands silent tonight, its grand lobby dim and empty, every chandelier flickering like fragile ghosts in the stillness. Leela steps in cautiously, her footsteps echoing softly on the polished marble floor. The space feels alive, yet abandoned, as if the walls themselves are watching her, holding their breath. In the far corner, the elevator hums quietly, a low vibration that seems almost sentient. Leela pauses, staring at the ornate doors. The brass panels are dulled with age, and the faint hum carries a strange, warning undertone, inviting yet sinister. She glances around the lobby. Old portraits of unfamiliar faces line the walls, their painted eyes following her every move. The silence presses in, thick and heavy, broken only by the faint whisper of the elevator's call. Her pulse quickens, each breath a little louder than the last. Slowly, Leela steps closer. The air grows colder, carrying a scent she can't place, dust, mildew, and something darker, metallic, almost alive. Shadows creep along the edges of the room, stretching unnaturally, flickering just beyond her vision. Her hands tremble slightly as she reaches for the elevator button. The button glows faintly under her fingers. And then she sees it, a dense, faceless black shadow flickering behind the glass doors of the elevator. It moves independently, unmoving yet present, watching. She blinks. It's gone. The elevator hum grows louder, echoing through the lobby like a heartbeat. Every instinct tells her to run, yet something compels her forward. Leela can feel the presence inside, patient, faceless, waiting. Every second stretches longer. Every shadow feels heavier. Finally, she takes a deep breath and steps toward the doors. They begin to slide open slowly, and the darkness inside seems to breathe, welcoming her in. Asterisk. As the elevator doors slide open, the interior looks almost normal at first, warm light reflecting faintly on the worn brass handrails. Leela steps in cautiously, feeling the cold metal under her fingertips, her heartbeat echoing in the small space. For a moment, the hum of the elevator seems mundane, almost reassuring, until the walls begin to subtly shift, stretching upwards as if the room itself were alive. The ceiling rises impossibly high, vanishing into shadows, and the space grows wider, longer, bigger, disorienting her senses. From the corners, tall, thick black ghosts emerge, faceless and imposing, their forms nearly touching the stretching ceiling. One leans against the back wall, its presence heavy and oppressive. Another moves slowly across the floor, fog curling around its massive legs. The air grows colder, denser, each breath feeling heavy as mist creeps along the floor and calls around the elevator interior, wrapping around the ghosts' bodies, making their movement feel even more unnatural and suffocating. The elevator hum deepens, resonating through Leela's chest as she presses the button for her floor. The black ghosts seem to notice, turning subtly as if aware of her every motion, watching patiently, silently. Shadows of their massive forms ripple across the walls and ceiling, exaggerating the impossible stretch of the elevator. The light flickers, casting airy patterns across the fog and the ghosts. One ghost, towering and thick, slowly rises in front of her line of sight, fog swirling around it, creating an almost tangible sense of dread. The elevator walls continue stretching, the space warping in a way that defies logic, heightening Leela's fear, making her question if she is moving upward or trapped in a room that has grown into infinity. Her pulse races as every movement of the ghosts is deliberate, slow, and terrifying, their faceless heads subtly turning toward her, fog drifting between her and the elevator panel. The air smells faintly metallic, like rust and wet stone, the sound of the elevator's hum mingling with low, distant creaks and whispers that seem to come from the very walls. For a moment, she freezes, realizing the elevator is no longer a simple machine, it is alive, the black ghosts dominating the space, the fog thickening around their towering forms. Every inch of the interior seems filled, the walls stretching, the ceiling rising, and the darkness pressing down. She swallows hard, gripping the handrail, knowing there is no escape until the elevator reaches a floor, if it even intends to let her go. Asterisk. The elevator hums quietly as Leela stands frozen, her hand hovering over the button panel. At first, she thinks the interior is empty, but then movement catches her eye. One tall, thick, faceless black ghost hovers near the floor, its massive form filling half the cabin, dense and solid, utterly opaque. Another towers behind the control panel, silent, unmoving yet unnervingly present. Their faceless heads tilt slightly, tracking her every micro-movement, creating a suffocating awareness that she is being watched. A thin layer of drifting fog curls along the elevator floor, twisting around the ghost's legs, rising slowly and hugging the walls, making the space feel alive and impossibly larger than it should be. Each breath Leela takes is visible in the cold air, mingling with the fog and adding to the oppressive atmosphere. The elevator hum deepens into a low, resonant vibration, echoing in her chest as the ghosts shift slightly, their massive bodies brushing through the fog, silent but undeniably present. Leela's eyes dart across the interior. The walls, though rigid, appear to stretch subtly, shadows bending unnaturally as if the elevator is expanding. The black ghosts move with terrifying intent, each step slow but deliberate, their presence pressing the air around her. She can feel them in her bones. Tall, thick, and impossibly dense, fog wrapping around them like smoke, creating the illusion that they could fill the entire world if they chose. The camera in her mind sees it all. One ghost hovers near the floor, stretching impossibly tall when she glances sideways. The other behind the control panel seems to grow in size, filling the vertical space, fog drifting around its solid body. Every flicker of the dim lights reflects in her wide eyes, shadows bouncing off marble walls and brass panels, though the ghosts themselves remain completely black, opaque, and unmoving except for the slow, deliberate shifting of their immense forms. Leela's pulse races. The air smells faintly metallic, a sharp scent that mixes with the dampness of the fog and the cold, musty smell of the elevator. Every movement she makes is mirrored in her mind by the ghosts, as if they anticipate her thoughts. Her hand trembles, brushing against the button panel, and the ghost behind it tilts slightly, as though acknowledging her, silent and menacing. The elevator walls continue to subtly distort. The ceiling stretches ever higher, fog swirling thickly around her feet and the ghost's massive forms. She realizes with a chill that she isn't just being watched, she is surrounded. Tall, thick black ghosts occupy every corner, moving slowly through the drifting fog, their presence physically oppressive. Even as she breathes, the fog seems to curl around her face, ghostly fingers of mist linking the space between her and the entities, amplifying the sense of entrapment. Time feels suspended. Each second stretches, her heartbeat echoing in the vast elevator cabin as she struggles to comprehend the impossible scale of the ghosts. They don't make a sound. No whispers, no steps, yet every nerve in her body screams that they are alive, sentient, aware of her. The hum of the elevator vibrates in the air, the fog calls around their massive legs, and the black ghosts press ever closer, surrounding her in a dense, suffocating darkness. For a moment, Leela closes her eyes, imagining escape, but when she opens them, the elevator seems endless. The ghosts are everywhere, fog swirling around them, tall, thick, faceless, utterly opaque, and immovable. She is no longer simply inside an elevator, she is inside a chamber dominated by shadows made solid, watching, waiting, patient, and terrifyingly alive. Asterisk. The elevator hums low, the metallic walls reflecting flickering lights that pulse unpredictably. The floor buttons light up randomly, glowing one after another, but no hand presses them. She can feel the movement beneath her feet, the elevator moving, or perhaps the room itself shifting, bending reality in ways that make her stomach twist. From the corners, tall, thick, faceless black ghosts loom. One pressing its massive form against the far wall. Another stretching impossibly high toward the ceiling, fog curling around its legs. A third hovers near the handrail, dense and immovable, the mist calling around it as if the air itself obeys its presence. Each breath she takes hangs in the thick, cold fog, curling around her shoulders and floating toward the ceiling. The walls subtly stretch sideways, the ceiling rising unnaturally, and every flicker of light throws the massive ghost's opaque forms into sharper relief. Some drift slowly toward the edges of vision, others remain still, yet all dominate the space, their presence suffocating. The fog twists around them, thickening the air, making the elevator feel alive, a living chamber filled with terror. The low hum of the elevator deepens, resonating in her chest, mingling with faint, echoing whispers that seem to emerge from the corners themselves. Every floor button glow, every flicker of light, reflects off the towering black ghosts, making them appear even larger, more solid, impossibly dense. The space feels endless, the elevator no longer a machine, but a chamber ruled by these entities. She senses movement from one of the massive ghosts. It leans forward slowly, fog swirling around it like smoke, its presence oppressive, nearly filling the cabin. The floor tilts slightly beneath her, disorienting, impossible to tell if the elevator is moving or the walls themselves are bending. The fog thickens, coiling around the massive forms, lingering in the air, warping perception. Breathing grows heavy, each inhale metallic and damp. The black ghosts shift subtly, deliberate and imposing, filling the cabin from every corner. Light flashes once more as the elevator seems to pause mid-motion, and the oppressive darkness presses in from all sides, leaving her no corner of safety in the suffocating space. Asterisk. Suddenly, the elevator halts with a low, metallic groan, and darkness swallows the interior, leaving her in near-complete blackness. The faint emergency lights flicker, casting unreliable illumination across the walls and ceiling, revealing hints of movement in the corners. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts emerge, filling every inch of the space. One leaning over the handrail, another stretching impossibly high toward the ceiling, a third crouching low near the floor, fog curling around their massive forms, thick and oppressive. The air grows colder, damp, and heavy, swirling with fog that snakes along the elevator floor and calls around the ghost's legs, making the space feel alive, suffocating, impossible to escape. She can feel their presence pressing in from all sides. Each breath she takes hangs visibly in the mist, merging with the fog that swirls unpredictably around the massive, opaque forms. Some of the ghosts shift slowly, deliberate and menacing, while others remain still, their towering bodies like immovable pillars of darkness. Shadows seem to warp unnaturally around them, bending the perception of the walls and ceiling, making the cabin feel impossibly vast yet claustrophobic. The hum of the elevator is replaced by an almost imperceptible whispering, echoing off the walls, mingling with the distant creaks of metal and the soft swirl of the fog. One massive ghost hovers close, faceless and solid, fog twisting around it like living smoke, its presence dominating the interior, leaving her feeling small and trapped. Another stretches its long, thick body across a corner, fog curling around its solid form, making it look like the darkness itself has taken shape. Time seems suspended. The elevator, once a simple mechanical box, feels alive, shifting subtly beneath her feet while the ghosts press closer, fog thickening, drifting upward, and blocking every corner of vision. Her heartbeat pounds as she tries to comprehend the scale of these entities, tall, thick, faceless, opaque black ghosts that fill the cabin, pressing in from ceiling to floor. Each movement is deliberate, slow, and terrifying, a predator's patience made solid, yet she is powerless to escape. Finally, she notices a faint shimmer of light as the elevator doors remain closed, the ghosts moving subtly toward her, fog swirling with each step, the air thick with metallic cold and dampness. Every inch of the space is filled, every corner dominated by the massive forms. She realizes there is no empty space left. The elevator is a chamber of darkness, ruled by these entities, the fog wrapping them, curling around her, filling every crevice, as she stands alone in the suffocating horror of the cabin. Asterisk. The elevator doors slide open with a low, metallic groan, revealing an empty, dimly lit hallway. For a moment, she breathes a sigh of relief, thinking it is safe, but the shadows along the walls betray her. Something moves, or rather, watches. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts linger in every darkened corner, some partially obscured by the drifting fog that creeps along the floor, while others stand upright near doorways, their massive forms stretching high toward the ceiling, utterly opaque, filling the space with oppressive presence. A smaller, twisted ghost glides silently along the far wall, fog curling around its dense legs, giving it a spectral, almost liquid-like quality despite being solid. The hallway feels alive. The floor beneath her feet seems to pulse subtly, and each flicker of the overhead lights casts shifting, terrifying silhouettes of the ghosts. She senses them everywhere, behind door frames, along the walls, partially hidden in shadow, each tall, thick black ghost unique in shape, some hunched, some leaning, some twisting, all observing her patiently, with an intent she cannot understand. The fog thickens, curling around their massive forms, floating between her and the hallway walls, making the distance feel longer, the hallway endless. The air grows colder, damp, almost metallic. Each breath she takes hangs in the fog, her heartbeat echoing loudly in her ears, mingling with faint whispers that seem to emanate from the walls themselves. One towering ghost shifts slowly, its arms extending slightly, fog wrapping around its solid body, as if testing the boundaries of the space. Another crouches low, nearly filling the corner, fog curling up along its legs, stretching upward, making it appear larger than possible. As she takes cautious steps forward, the hallway seems to warp subtly. Shadows twist unnaturally, corners deepen into darkness, and the massive black ghosts shift with deliberate intent, never leaving her line of sight. The fog flows around her feet, swirling unpredictably, connecting the ghosts and creating a sense that the hallway itself is breathing. Every instinct screams danger, yet she cannot turn back. The elevator doors behind her are closed, the hallway ahead filled with opaque, towering forms, watching, waiting. Time stretches. The hallway seems infinite. Each ghost is unique, some hunched, some twisting, some rigidly upright, but all share the same oppressive presence, the fog wrapping them, connecting them, making it impossible to discern safe space. She can feel their gaze on her from every shadow, the silence broken only by the low hum of her own breath and the subtle creaks of the floorboards beneath. The hallway is no longer a simple corridor. It has become a chamber ruled by tall, thick black ghosts, dense, faceless, suffocating, their fog-filled forms pressing in from all sides, and she realizes with a chill that they are always watching, always waiting, never leaving. Asterisk. Today's second story is the collapsing attic. The attic door creaks open slowly, groaning like it hasn't moved in decades. Mia steps inside cautiously, her shoes crunching softly on the thick layer of dust, which swirls lazily in the dim, flickering light from a single hanging bulb. The space feels wrong, larger than it should be, stretching in ways that defy reason. Shadows cling to the rafters and corners, moving ever so subtly, as if alive. From the far end, tall, thick, faceless black ghosts begin to emerge. One leans against a wooden support beam, massive and solid, fog curling around its legs. Another stands near the attic stairs, impossibly tall, its dense body absorbing the faint light, casting a dark presence across the room. A third, slightly hunched, drifts slowly along the floor, fog swirling around its opaque form, connecting the other ghosts in a suffocating atmosphere. The air grows colder as Mia's breath hangs visibly in the thick fog that creeps along the floor and calls around the ghosts' massive forms. Each step she takes seems louder than it should, echoing in the cavernous attic as the ceiling looms impossibly high above. Shadows twist unnaturally along the rafters, and the ghosts shift with deliberate intent, some moving slowly, others remaining still, but all radiating an oppressive presence that fills every corner. She tries to focus on the far window, hoping for an escape of light, but the fog curls around her legs, trailing the massive black forms that dominate the attic. The dense, faceless ghosts press in from every angle, their presence physically heavy, each exhale of fog carrying the metallic chill of their massive bodies. The attic stretches further in every direction, walls seemingly bending and expanding, creating the impression of infinite space. Time stretches, each second a beat of fear, as Mia realizes she is trapped in a room that is alive, filled with these tall, thick black ghosts, dense and solid, their opaque bodies pressing against the fog, moving subtly yet deliberately, watching her. The attic, once familiar, has become a chamber of endless darkness, ruled by these entities, and every shadow seems to whisper, she is not alone, and she cannot leave. Asterisk. Every step she takes echoes loudly across the attic, bouncing off the warped walls and high, shadowed ceiling. The room feels wrong, the roof seems to rise, stretching into darkness, while the floor elongates beneath her feet as if the space itself is alive. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts appear from the shadows, moving subtly yet deliberately. One leans against a rafter, arms long and solid, fog curling around its legs. Another towers near the far wall, completely opaque, its massive form pressing against the faint light and making the space feel impossibly large. A third hunched ghost drifts along the floor, fog twisting around it like liquid smoke, connecting the other forms in an oppressive atmosphere. She can feel their gaze on her from every direction. The attic air grows cold, damp, and heavy, fog swirling thickly along the floor and around the ghosts' massive bodies. Each breath she takes hangs in the mist, mixing with the metallic chill of the room, making it hard to focus. Shadows bend unnaturally around the ghosts, stretching the walls, elongating the floor further, creating a sense that the attic has become infinite. The massive black forms shift slowly, deliberate, their presence suffocating and inescapable. Some hover near corners, others lean over beams or stair edges, fog curling upward from the floor and wrapping around their opaque bodies, linking them in a network of oppressive darkness. She senses movement out of the corner of her eye, a subtle shift that makes the room feel alive, each ghost uniquely massive, tall, and solid, yet all connected through the fog. Every step becomes more difficult as she navigates the elongated floor, the attic stretching endlessly in all directions, the black ghosts pressing in from every side. Whispers echo faintly, mingling with the creaks of old wood as the fog twists and drifts, blocking her vision and filling the attic with dense, suffocating darkness. She realizes with a shiver that she is not alone. These tall, thick black ghosts, dense and opaque, move with terrifying intent, surrounding her, their fog-filled forms linking every corner, watching, waiting. Asterisk. Shadows cling to the attic rafters, stretching unnaturally yet subtly, moving as if alive. Mia's eyes dart across the dimly lit space, catching glimpses of tall, thick, faceless black ghosts appearing in every shadowed corner. One drifts silently across an old wooden trunk, its massive opaque form gliding without sound, fog curling around its legs and rising toward the ceiling. Another hovers near the ladder, upright and solid, its silhouette slightly different from the first, giving the impression that the forms subtly shift between glimpses. The air grows colder, thick with fog that calls along the floor and around each ghost's massive body, connecting them in a network of oppressive darkness. She can feel the attic itself stretching, the roof rising higher above, walls subtly bending as if the space expands to contain these massive presences. Smaller ghosts appear near the corners, crouching or leaning, their silhouettes changing slightly between shots, making them appear alive yet eerily still. Each step she takes echoes against the warped wooden floor, the sound amplified by the vast, stretching attic. Fog swirls unpredictably, occasionally obscuring one ghost entirely, then revealing it again in a slightly different pose or placement. The massive, opaque forms shift subtly but deliberately, their presence suffocating, pressing in from every angle. Low, echoing whispers mix with creaking wood, and the attic seems to pulse with the dense, watchful presence of the ghosts. Mia realizes she is surrounded, tall, thick black ghosts, each unique in form and subtly varying in pose, their fog-wrapped bodies dominating the attic. The space feels alive, oppressive, and endless, every shadow a potential threat, every subtle movement of the massive silhouettes reminding her she is not alone, that the attic has become a chamber ruled by these entities, silently observing, waiting. Asterisk. The old chandelier swings slowly, its metal arms creaking softly despite the lack of wind. Mia freezes for a moment, her breath visible in the cold, fog-laden attic air. Shadows stretch and thicken along the walls and corners, each darkened space seeming to pulse as if the room itself were alive. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts emerge subtly from the gloom. One leaning against a rafter, another hovering near the far wall, a third crouched along the edge of a dusty trunk, a fourth stretching upright near the ladder. Their forms shift slightly between glimpses, giving the impression that the silhouettes rotate naturally without twisting unnaturally. Fog curls thickly around their massive opaque bodies, drifting along the floor and rising toward the ceiling, linking the ghosts in a suffocating, otherworldly flow. The attic stretches and vaults in ways that defy logic. The roof seems higher than possible, the floor elongates under her feet, walls subtly bending as if breathing. She can feel the gaze of the massive black silhouettes from every angle, pressing in psychologically and physically, filling her vision with oppressive darkness. The chandelier sways more vigorously now, casting moving shadows that mingle with the ghostly forms. Small, crouched figures appear along corners, while taller forms loom silently, their poses slightly changing between shots, adding variety without unnatural movement. The fog drifts unpredictably, occasionally revealing a new silhouette or partially hiding one, making the attic feel alive and in constant motion. Low, echoing whispers thread through the space, intertwining with the creaks of old wood and the distant scrape of unseen objects. The tall, thick black ghosts continue their subtle shifts, their fog-wrapped bodies connecting each corner of the attic, pressing in from every side. Mia realizes with a shiver that the room itself is watching her, each silhouette observing her movement, each shifting pose a reminder that she is trapped in a chamber of relentless, oppressive darkness, surrounded by entities that are alive, patient, and relentless. Asterisk. The floorboards creak beneath her weight, each step echoing faintly in the dim attic, yet she senses another presence, a sound that isn't hers. Shadows shift unnaturally along the walls, thickening in corners as tall, thick, faceless black ghosts begin to converge silently. One leans low over a rafter, another towers near the far wall, a third crouches near a dusty trunk, and smaller forms drift along the edges. Their silhouettes subtly vary between shots, giving the impression of rotation and movement without twisting unnaturally. The attic air grows colder, heavy with fog that drifts along the floor and calls around the massive, opaque bodies of the ghosts. Each breath she takes hangs in the mist, blending with the metallic chill of the room. The floor stretches unnaturally beneath her, warped by unseen forces, while the ceiling rises slightly, enclosing her in a surreal, oppressive space. She feels the weight of their presence pressing in from all directions, their massive forms connected by the curling fog. Low, echoing whispers thread through the air, intermingling with the creaks of the old wood. Some of the ghosts lean, others drift upright, some crouch or hover slightly above the floor, each silhouette distinct, subtly changing pose and placement between glimpses. The fog twists dynamically around them, partially obscuring some forms, revealing others in new angels, making the space feel alive. Mia realizes with a shiver that she is surrounded. The tall, thick black ghosts converge on her, their massive, opaque bodies moving silently, pressing through the fog, filling the attic with dense, suffocating darkness. Every subtle shift of their forms reminds her that she is not alone, that the room itself has become a chamber of relentless, watchful entities. Asterisk. She scrambles toward the attic ladder, heart racing, each step echoing faintly in the dim, fog-laden space. When she looks back, the attic stretches infinitely, walls bending, ceiling rising, filled with tall, thick, faceless black ghosts of varied silhouettes, one leaning against a beam, another hovering near the stairs, a third crouched along a trunk, smaller forms sliding along edges. Their poses and placements subtly change between glimpses, giving the impression of rotation without twisting unnaturally. Thick fog curls around their massive bodies, weaving them together in a suffocating flow. Every shadow presses in, every subtle shift of their forms making it terrifyingly clear she can never leave unseen. Today's final story is the flooded basement. The basement door groans open, water lapping coldly at the floor. Liam steps inside cautiously, eyes scanning the dim space. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts of varied silhouettes emerge from every shadow, one leaning against a beam, another hovering near the corner, a third crouched low, smaller forms sliding along edges. Their poses subtly vary between glimpses, giving a sense of rotation without twisting unnaturally. Thick fog curls around their massive bodies, drifting across the floor and rising toward the ceiling, filling the basement with suffocating, oppressive darkness. Liam feels their silent presence pressing in from every side, watching his every move. Each step he takes sends ripples across the water, the room stretching impossibly as walls bend outward. Tall, thick, faceless black ghosts of varied silhouettes hover and lean along the corners, their poses subtly shifting between glimpses, giving the impression of rotation without twisting unnaturally. Thick fog curls around their massive bodies, drifting across the floor and rising toward the ceiling, pressing in from every side, making it clear he is not alone. A shadow rises slowly from the water before him, tall, thick, and completely faceless, its massive body dense and fully black. The surface ripples violently around it, though he hasn't moved. Above, another heavy silhouette glides silently across the ceiling, stretching wide, watching him from the darkness. More thick black forms stand motionless in the corners, their shapes subtly shifting between glimpses. Cold fog drifts across the flooded floor, curling around their massive bodies as he realizes the water isn't the only thing rising in the basement. The air grows heavy, thick with a silence that feels almost physical. He hears nothing, not even the water moving, yet something has changed. Across the flooded basement, tall, thick, faceless black ghosts stand motionless in different corners. One towers near the far wall, shoulders broad and solid. Another stands straight behind a support beam, partially concealed yet fully present. A third figure lingers near the staircase, its dense silhouette perfectly still. They do not flicker. They do not fade. They are completely opaque, absorbing the dim light around them. Subtle shifts in their posture occur between glimpses, a slight turn of the head, a marginal repositioning of the shoulders, creating a natural sense of rotation without unnatural movement. Cold fog drifts low across the flooded floor, curling around their massive legs and rising along their towering forms. The silence presses against his ears as the shadows no longer wander aimlessly. They align. They adjust. They watch him deliberately. And in that suffocating stillness, he realizes the basement isn't empty. It's observing him. Asterisk. The water begins to swirl unnaturally around his feet. From every corner, tall, thick, faceless black ghosts step closer, their massive silhouettes tightening the space around him. The fog thickens as the darkness fills every edge of the basement. He looks around once and realizes there is no escape. He reaches the exit and pulls the door open. Fresh air rushes in, but before stepping out, he glances back. In the last shadow of the flooded basement, tall, thick, faceless black figures still stand, silent and unmoving. Waiting. Patient. Endless. If tonight's stories made you uneasy, tell me in the comments which one stayed with you the longest. I'll pin the most terrifying comment. Episode 94 is coming darker than before. Subscribe if you dare to step into the unknown again. Until then, stay in the light. Because the shadows are always watching.